Hi guys, this is Act 3, Scene 5. It's a little long. It'll probably be about 15 minutes long, but there's some important things and some characterization about Juliet, the nurse, and her mom and dad. That's who are in this scene. Um, Make sure you have your scene guides out. Make sure you're taking the notes. This is the last scene in Act 3. We'll answer the questions afterwards for scenes 4 and 5, and then you will have a quiz on Friday on Act 3. So make sure that you're listening. Make sure you're jotting down the important details. There's a lot of interesting things that happen, reactions that happen in this scene. So Mr. and Mrs. Capulet, Lord and Lady Capulet, have made plans with Paris in scene 4 for Paris to marry Juliet on Thursday, which it was Monday. So about 4 days away, she is supposed to get married. 3 days. Enters Romeo and Juliet. Remember, we are flashing back to when they've just spent the night together, and it's in the middle of the night. He knows he is supposed to leave and sneak out with the rope ladder and escape to Mantua. So enters Romeo and Juliet aloft. Wilt thou be gone? Is it not yet near day? It was the nightingale, and not the lark, that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on the pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale. And she says, I don't want you to go. Every night the nightingale chirps. I believe, my love, I want you to be here. Romeo says, it was the lark, the herald of the morn, no nightingale. Look, love, what envious streaks to lace the severing clouds in yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out, and jocund day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain tops. I must be gone and live, or stay and die. So he says, I have to leave. If I don't leave, I'm going to be killed. Yon light is not daylight, I know it. It is some meteor that the sun exhales to be to thee this night a torchbearer, and light thee on thy way to Mantua. Therefore stay yet. Thou needest not be gone. So she's like, it's not daylight. You don't have to go yet. She doesn't want him to leave at all. Let me be taken. Let me be put to death. I am content. So thou wilt have it so. So he goes, okay, forget it. I will stay with you. I will be captured. I don't want to leave you either. I'll say yon grey is not the morning's eye, 'tis but the pale reflex of Cynthia's brow, nor that is not the lark whose notes do beat the vaulty heavens so high above our heads. I have more care to stay than will to go, meaning I have more reasons I want to stay than to go. Come death and welcome, Juliet wills it so. How's my soul? Let's talk. Is it not day? So he just kind of lays back in bed with her and says, you're right, I don't want to leave. Let's stay here all day and night. It is, high heads be gone away. It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords and unpleasing sharps. Some say the lark makes sweet division. This doth not so, for she divideth us. So she kind of is like, oh no, you can't stay. You really do have to go, or you'll be killed. Some say the lark and loathed toad change eyes. Oh, now I would that they had changed voices too, since arm from arm that voice doth us affray, hunting thee hence with hunts up to the day. Oh, now be gone, more light and light it grows. More light and light, more dark and dark. Our woes, more and more light, more and more pain for us, meaning as it becomes lighter and daybreak, I must leave you. So the nurse comes in and this, Madame, nurse, your lady mother is coming to your chamber. The day is broke. Be wary, look about, meaning like your mom's coming to get him out. So the nurse leaves. Then window, let day in and let life out. So she opens up her window to her balcony and says, Romeo, get out. And Romeo says, farewell, farewell. One kiss and I'll descend. Kiss, and Romeo goes down the rope ladder. And now she's trying to pull herself together as her mom comes in. Art thou gone so, love lord? Ah, husband, friend, I must hear from thee every day in the hour, for in a minute there are many days. Oh, by this count I shall be much in years ere I again behold my Romeo. Now remember, they know about this plan. So Juliet says, he is still like standing in the window, And she goes, oh, you must go, but please, I want to know. Keep me, every minute, if every day, I want to know what's going on with you. So please always send word until this situation is fixed. Farewell. I will omit no opportunity that may convey my greetings. Love to thee. Oh, thinkest thou we shall ever meet again? Do you think we'll ever meet again? I doubt it not, and all those woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our time to come. He says, I have no doubt we'll be back together. All these troubles will give us stories to tell each other later in life, meaning we'll look back at this and we'll laugh about it when we're an old married couple. Oh God, I have an ill-divining soul. Methinks I see thee now, thou art so low as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. Either my eyesight fails, or thou lookest pale. This is a really big passage right here. That's really important. She foreshadows. She's kind of looking at him and saying, oh gosh, I have this bad feeling, and that I can envision someone dead in the bottom of a tomb. So that's terrible. Like, imagine that being your last words to your husband as before he goes. Trust me, love, in my eyes, so do you. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu, adieu. And he said, trust me. Sadness takes away our color. That's why we look so upset, not because about that we're going to die. So he says, goodbye. I love you. Romeo leaves. Juliet says, talking to herself, O fortune, fortune, all men call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for faith? Be fickle, fortune, for then I hope thou wilt not keep him long, but send him back. Meaning, I hope we are back together soon. So Lady Capulet is coming. Oh, daughter, what are you up? So again, part of the dramatic irony of this situation is that the Lady Capulet thinks Juliet has been locked in her room because she is so upset about Tybalt's death. But we know that she has spent the night with her husband. Who is that calls? Is it thou, my lady mother? Is she not down so late or up so early? What unaccustomed cause procures her hither? Like, why is she up so early? Enters Lady Capulet. Why, how now, Juliet? Madam, I am not well. Evermore weeping for your cousin's death? What will thou wash him from his grave with tears? And if thou couldst not make him live. Therefore have done. Some grief shows much of love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit, meaning stop crying over him. I know you're upset, but too much grief makes you look stupid. Yeah, let me weep for such a feeling loss. So she goes, let me feel the loss. So shall you feel the loss, but not the friend which you weep for. So you will feel the loss, but the man you weep for will feel nothing. Obviously, she thinks it's Tybalt because of his death, but Juliet is really weeping because now her husband has left and snuck away to Mantua. Romeo replies, or I'm sorry, not Romeo, Juliet replies, feeling so the loss cannot choose but ever weep the friend. So I can't help but to weep for him forever. Again, it's the ironic situation of where she's talking about Romeo, but her mom thinks she's talking about Tybalt. Well, girl, thou weepest not so much for his death as that villain lives which slaughtered him. So she said, well, girl, you're weeping not for his death as much as for the fact that the villain who killed him is still alive. What villain, madame? The same villain, Romeo. So now, again, Lady Capulet doesn't know Juliet loves or even has a relationship with Romeo, never mind marry him. So aside means she says to herself, villain, and he be many miles asunder. And then she says to Lady Capulet, God pardon him, I do with all my heart, and yet no man like he doth grieve my heart. So she's kind of like a play on words. May God pardon him, I do with all my heart, and yet no man could make my heart grieve like he does, meaning he's making me sad, but she's saying it's making me sad because he's gone, but Lady Capulet thinks he's making me sad because he killed my cousin. That is because the traitor murderer lives. Ah, madame, from the reach of these my hands, would none but I might venge my cousin's death. So she's saying, I wish that no one could avenge my cousin's death except me. So she's like, don't worry about it. Lady Capulet, this is important. We will have vengeance for it, fear thou not. Then weep no more. I'll send to one in Mantua, where that same banished runagate doth live, shall give him such an unaccustomed dram that he shall soon keep to bold company. And then, I hope, thou wilt be satisfied. What? The mom just said, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of him. I'm sending someone to poison Romeo's drink, and it will kill him. And it will put him in the grave with Tybalt. So then we'll all be satisfied. Imagine Juliet's reaction to this. Indeed, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him dead. Is my poor heart for a kinsman vexed? So it's a kind of, again, a play on terms, or the connotation, the way she emphasizes words. She says, I'll never be satisfied with Romeo until I see him. And then it's like, pause, dead, to kind of make her mom not suspicious. Madam, if you could find out but a man to bear a poison, I would temper it, that Romeo should, upon receipt thereof, soon sleep in quiet. Oh, how my heart abhors to him named, and cannot come to him, to wreak the love I bore my cousin upon his body that slaughtered him. So she kind of pretends, and she says, can you find a man who makes this poison? I'll mix it myself so Romeo will sleep quietly soon after he drinks. Oh, how I hate to hear people say his name and not be able to go after him. I want to take the love I have for my cousin and take it out on the body of the man who killed him. So she's pretending, she's like, oh, give me the poison. I'll take care of it. Find thou the means, and I'll find such a man. But now I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl. So she said, I'll find the right man. Don't worry about it, but I have good news for you. Oh, and joy comes well in such a needy time. What are thee? Beseech your ladyship. So she says, oh, you have good news for me? Okay, we need good news. So again, we know what Lady Capulet's news is. Well, thou hast a careful father, child, one who, to put thee from thy heaviness, hath sorted out a sudden day of joy that thou expectest not, nor I looked not for. Madam, in happy time, what day is this? Marry, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant, young, and noble gentleman, the County Paris at St. Peter's Church, shall happily make thee there a joyful bride. So again, she has just found out that her parents have planned a wedding for a few days at a church and says, you're going to be a bride. But little do they know that Juliet has already been a bride. Now by St. Peter's Church and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder at this haste that I must wed ere he that should be husband comes to woo. Meaning this is too rash. We're rushing too much. This cannot be. I pray you tell my lord and father, madam, I will not marry yet. And when I do, I swear it shall be Romeo, whom you know I hate rather than Paris. These are news indeed. So she said, I'd rather marry my worst enemy, meaning Romeo. Again, we know that she already has, than marry this Paris man. Here comes your father. Tell him yourself and see how he will take it to your hands, or at your hands. So he says, you tell your father this news, because I'm not. Enter Capulet and the nurse. When the sun sets, the air doth drizzle dew, but for the sunset of my brother's son, it rains downright. How now, a conduit girl? What, still in tears? Evermore showering? In one little body thou counterfeitest a bark, a sea, a wind. For still thy eyes, which I may call the sea, do ebb and flow with tears. The bark thy body is, sailing in this salt flood. The winds thy sighs, who raging with thy tears, and they with them, without a sudden calm will overset thy tempest-tossed body. How now, wife? Have you delivered to her our decree? So Lord Capulet comes in. He sees his daughter fretful, crying, hysterical, because the mom has just told her that she is going to get married in a couple days to Paris. So she's devastated. But the dad comes in and thinks she's crying still over to Bolt. And he has all these metaphors. He compares her body and her tears to sea and a storm. So there's a lot of beautiful metaphors in there. So he's said, well, she should be happy. Why is she still crying? So Lady Capulet says, ah, sir, but she will none. She gives you thanks. I would the fool were married to her grave. So she's saying she refuses. Soft, take me with you. Take me with you, wife. How will She none? Does she not give us thanks? Is she not proud? Does she not count her blessed, unworthy as she is, that we have wrought so worthy a gentleman to be her bride? Meaning, he's very mad right now. He's like, is she not grateful for what we have done for her? Not proud you have, but thankful that you have. Meaning, I'm not proud of it, but thank you for doing this, but no thanks. Proud can I never be of what I hate, but thankful even for hate that is meant love. Means you have good intentions, but I have no desire to marry. And again, dramatic irony is that we know because she's already married to Romeo. How, chap logic? What is this? Proud, and I thank you not. He's mocking her. And yet not proud. Mistress Minion, you thank me no thankings, nor proud me no prouds, but fettle your fine joints against Thursday next to go with Paris to St. Peter's Church, where I will drag thee there on a hurdle thither. Out, you green sickness, carry on. Out, you baggage, you tallow fast. So he just tears into her and calls, I'm disgusted with you. You spoiled little brat. How dare you give me no thanks for this? So he really berates her. Fie, what are you mad? So the Lady Capulet comes in and is yelling at her. What are you, crazy? Good father, I beseech you on my knees, hear me with patience, but to speak a word so you can picture her down, begging her dad, imploring her to stop this. Forget about you, you worthless girl. Oops, I'm reading the wrong side. Hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wretch. I tell thee what, get thee to church on Thursday, or never look at me in the face. Speak not, reply not, do not answer me. My fingers itch, wife, we scarce thou us blessed. But God had lent us but this only child. But now I see this one is one too much, and that we have a curse in having her. Out on her hiding. Like, wow, he just says, he calls her a disobedient wretch, you worthless girl. And he says, you better get to church on Thursday or don't look at me again. He says, don't talk back. And he wants, when he says my fingers itch, he wants to smack her. And he says, oh, I can't believe God spared us this one child. And apparently he shouldn't have. So he curses her and he calls her all these names. Remember, back in the day, you didn't get to go against your parents' wishes, and you certainly didn't tell them that. So he is very upset. God in heaven bless her. You are to blame, my lord, to rate her so. So the nurse comes in and tries to defend Juliet because, again, the nurse knows what has happened. Ah, why, my lady wisdom, hold your tongue. Good prudence, smatter with your gossips. Go. So she just tells the nurse to get out of here. I speak no treason. Oh, good eye, good even. May not speak one? Meaning, can I say something? Peace, you mumbling fool. Utter your gravity or a gossip's bowl, for here we need it not. Meaning, we don't need to hear what you have to say. You are too hot. Meaning you're too angry. God's bread, it makes me mad. Day, night, hour, tide, time, work, play, alone, in company. Still my care hath been to have her matched, and having now provided a gentleman of noble parentage, of fair demesnes, youthful and nobly trained, stuffed, as they say, with honorable parts, proportioned as one's thoughts would wish a man, and then to have a wretched pulling fool, a whining mammet in her fortune's tender, to answer, I'll not wed, I cannot live, I am too young, I pray you pardon. But an you will not wed, I'll pardon you. Graze where you will, you shall not house with me. Look to it, think on it. I do not use to jest. Thursday is near. Lay hand on heart, advise. Ah, and you be mine. I'll give you to my friend. And you be not hang, beg, starve, die in the streets. For by my soul, I'll never acknowledge thee, nor what is mine shall never do thee good. Trust to it, bethink you, I will not be forsworn. So, wow, he just went off and he says, if you look back, he said, I can't believe everything we have ever done for you. We give you this noble, wonderful, good-looking, educated man. He has all these amazing qualities. He is the man of any girl's dreams. And yet you say, no thanks, I'm all set. And so he said, if you do not marry him on Thursday, I will kick you out of the family. I'd rather you beg, starve, die in the streets. I don't care. You will do what I tell you, or it is the end of you. Imagine saying that to your daughter. I don't think I would be happy if my daughter disagreed with me, but I definitely wouldn't kick her out on the streets. So Capulet storms off, and Julia is just there sobbing, and her mom is still there. Is there no pity sitting in the clouds that sees into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet, my mother, cast me not away. Delay this marriage for a month, a week, or if you do not make the bridal bed in that dim monument where Tybalt lies. So she said, please just delay this for a little while. If not, she kind of threatens like that she's going to kill herself because this is not what she wants. Again, dramatic irony part is that we know why Lady Capulet and Lord Capulet do not. Talk not to me, for I'll not speak a word. Do as thou wilt, for I have done with thee, meaning you better do what you're supposed to do. I'm done. And storms out Lady Capulet. Now Juliet is sitting here sobbing on her bed. And this is the nurse is there. Oh God, oh nurse, how shall this be prevented? My husband is on earth, meaning Romeo. My faith in heaven, meaning I have committed to God in this marriage. How shall that faith return again to earth unless that husband send it me from heaven by leaving earth? Comfort me, counsel me. So she says, the only way my marriage can be broken to Romeo is if he dies. And I don't want that. Alack, alack, that heaven should practice stratagems upon so soft a subject as myself. What thou sayest thou? Hast thou not a word of joy? Comfort, nurse? So she looks to the nurse and says, I don't know what to do. Do you have any words of wisdom? Do you have anything to help me here? And the nurse says, Faith, here it is. So this is what the nurse has to say. Pay attention to this. Romeo is banished, and all the world to nothing, that he dares never come back to challenge you. So meaning he's never coming back. Or if he do, it needs must be by stealth, meaning like he has to be undercover. Then, since the case so stands as now it doth, I think it best you married with the county, meaning Paris. Oh, he's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dishclout to him. An eagle, madam, hath not so green, so quick, so fair an eye as Paris hath. Beshrew my very heart, I think you are happy in the second match, for it excels your first. Or if it did not, your first is debtor, 'twere as good as he were, as living here, and you no use of him. What? So the nurse says, I think you should move on. I think you should marry Paris. He's much better than Romeo. It's going to work out better. You'll be happier. So imagine Juliet's reaction. Speakest thou from thy heart? And from my soul too, else beshrew them both. Amen. What? Well, vast. So Juliet has an idea. Well, thou hast comforted me marvelous much. Go in and tell my lady I am gone, having displeased my father to Lawrence's cell to make confession and be absolved. So Juliet goes, and the nurse doesn't know about this, but then the nurse thinks she's like talked Juliet into, okay, yeah, I'm going to get married to Paris. You're right. But Juliet has an idea. So she tells the nurse, I'm going to go to Friar Lawrence's to ask for forgiveness for being so disrespectful to my parents. And the nurse says, great, marry I will, and this is wisely done, and exits the nurse. So Juliet isn't honest with the nurse, kind of misleads her to think that she is going to go ask for forgiveness and that she plans on marrying Paris. And this is Juliet in a soliloquy. Ancient damnation, oh most wicked fiend. So she's mad at the nurse because she's like, I thought you were my friend. You're my mom, like your mom to me. So she doesn't understand what the change of heart is. Is it more to sin to wish me thus forsworn, or to dispraise my Lord with that same tongue which she hath praised him with above compare so many thousand times? Meaning, is it worse for her to want me to break my vows or say bad things about my husband when she said all these amazing things about him before? Go, counselor, meaning kind of talking about the nurse. Thou and my bosom henceforth shall be twain, meaning I am going to find the friar to find the solution. I'll go to the friar to know his remedy. If all else fails, myself have power to die. That is a big 2 lines. So she says, friar, she's going to go to the friar. She's going to talk to him about trying to find a plan, because now she's got to speed things up. Because originally they were just going to wait a few weeks till this all blows over. But now, in a few days, she's supposed to marry Paris. So she's got to go tell Friar Lawrence about this and work out a plan. And she says, if everything else fails, At least I have the power to take my own life. So she is willing to kill herself instead of marrying Paris and breaking her wedding vows with Romeo. Wow. Okay, a lot has happened in the past few scenes. Make sure you answer the questions thoughtfully. Please also make sure that you are answering complete sentences, which some of you missed. When you answer complete sentences, you have a better chance of adding more details. If you have questions, confusions, I want you to send me a message, email me. I was thinking about possibly doing a Google Meet on certain days to go over things if you have confusions, to have a discussion about it. But look further for that information as I get more acquainted with Google Meet. All right, so that was Act 3, Scene 5. Make sure you complete your scene guide and the questions.